Welcome back. I'm your host, Kimberly Levy. Thank you for joining me today. For those of you that are new around here, thank you for coming. Welcome. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. So today's topic is one that is super personal and important, not just to me, but to my business. And hopefully it will really help you along in whatever it is you're trying to create. And it's all about building a personal brand that lasts and the role of podcasting. So the reason why, and I get this question all the time, so many times I get the question, why do you like podcasting? Why are you podcasting? Why did you start podcasting? And the truth is, I started podcasting over COVID as a form of expression. And I just needed an outlet, a creative outlet, and I just needed connection. And so it really just started as this passion project. And from the moment I released my first episode, it felt like my entire soul was set free. And from that point on, the second I actually saw my name on Apple Podcast and on Spotify and my cover art and all that stuff, it literally felt like my entire soul was set free and that I found my calling and I was just hooked. There was no better feeling in the world. And as I reflect back on that experience, I think that it was a combination of a couple reasons why it was so exhilarating. But the first and foremost reason is really paramount to our discussion today, which is authenticity. So first of all, what is a personal brand and how do you build it? Why is it important for you? Your personal brand is the lens in which the world sees you. And it's really, when you think about what branding is and marketing, but really branding, think of it in the simplest form, which is when people think of your name, it's your name plus what? Because if you really go through the inventory of people in your life, you'll notice that they have a personal brand in your mind, whether or not you realize it and whether or not they realize it. So here's an example. My sister is a doctor. So I think Jennifer Valoran, doctor. My best friend's a nurse. Stephanie Hope, nurse. Then I have friends in the sports world. So you guys know Sam Querrey, tennis. So in many cases, you'll realize as you kind of look through people in your life, whether or not they're in a corporate job. I have another friend, her name plus executive, right? So every single person in your life, you probably associate their name with one word, one or two words. And we have these associations in our head so that our brain can really just categorize people in a way that makes sense to us, that's very simple. Now, how that applies to you in your business or just your personal brand, whether you're an executive, an entrepreneur, a professional athlete, a change maker, whatever it is, you have a personal brand, whether you like it or not. People associate your name with one word. For me, it's Kimberly Podcasting. And I love that personal brand. That's what I want people to know me for. So whether or not you choose to lean into the fact that you have a personal brand or bury your head in the sand, it does exist. So like it or not, it's just the way it is. Every single one of us walks around with a personal brand. Now, if you're really astute and really in tune to this, and the more you get clear about it, you can really hone in on using your personal brand that is in a way that is advantageous to you, advantageous to your business, advantageous to whatever you're trying to accomplish. And the most important thing with a personal brand, and this was the thing that just was so difficult for me, because I'm one of those people that I'm like, I'm not a public figure. I'm not, I was in a corporate role when all of this was happening with my podcast. So I was very uncomfortable with this concept of a personal brand. And it just didn't feel natural to me. It felt very, curated, salesy, just inauthentic until it clicked. And I'm like, we all have it, whether we like it or not. So how can I make my personal brand something that's authentic so that it doesn't feel icky? That was my main thing. Whatever I'm building, it needs to be authentic. And I'm telling you this story because the most important part of whatever it is you are working towards in your life and in your business and in just your overall reputation is it needs to be authentic. Authenticity is the cornerstone of your personal brand. It is so important that you show to the world exactly who you are as authentically as you possibly can. And when this clicks for you and you really unlock, like, well, what does that mean? What is my one word? It's not an easy exercise to really figure out sometimes, especially when you're starting. Now, if you're more seasoned in your career, you probably already have your word. Some people it's, let's say, their name, like Danny, actor or whatever, right? So sometimes it just falls in line naturally. But if you're an entrepreneur and you're really trying to launch your business, your podcast is such a critical piece of your personal brand. So step one is understanding that you have a personal brand. Whether or not you accept it or choose to lean into it or not, it is there. I assure you it is there. That's the first thing, is acceptance. Just like me, I didn't like it. I wasn't comfortable with it, but I finally decided to lean in and accept it for what it is. The second piece is, once you realize that, is just what is authentically your personal brand. One person, maybe it's a sport, maybe it's even a leisurely sport. Maybe you're a librarian. I have a friend, she's actually a very high-end librarian. She is a librarian in Los Angeles, and she loves it. She loves reading books. She loves being known for being this top, well-known librarian of a very big institution. So once it clicks for you and you kind of get comfortable with the concept, then from there, everything kind of unfolds so naturally. So if you're not sure what your personal brand is or how to figure out your one word, then you can contact me at Kimberly Levy or message me, Kimberly at Iconic Nation Media, and I can work with you and I can actually send you a freebie on working through what is your personal brand. In one or two words, what is it? And so once you kind of get through that exercise and really have a clear grasp on your personal brand, this is where I get really jazzed. And why I'm podcasting in many ways is not just because I love it, but because I realize that the authenticity is so important in anything you're doing, and the true passion, and people really getting to understand who you are and get comfortable with who you are and get to know you in a way that makes them feel truly connected. And this is where I think any person out there and anyone and everyone should be having a podcast. And the reason for that is because it truly opens you up to a whole realm of possibilities you would never, ever understand or even think of, because you're putting yourself out there into the world and you're authentically showing up as you. And you get to have fun with that. You get to create your authentic brand using your personal stories, your personal experiences. And what you're doing in all of this, and the really important part here, is that you're building trust with other people that otherwise don't know you. And this platform of podcasting is so special because people can see you, they can hear your voice, and they really feel like they just know you. And even though you can't always have that full visibility into who's listening or watching, you'll be surprised who stops you on the street and says, hey, you really made me laugh when you shared that debacle with your kids about ABC things. Or, hey, I really love the episode where you shared your most vulnerable story and it made me cry. Or you really made my day with that inspirational story you shared. So this idea that you get to really use your voice to reach people and make a true, tangible impact is so important. It's so underrated. And not only that, in being your authentic version of you through a podcast, you get to sell your business to people by just attracting them to you instead of having to hard sell people. So here's an example. If you are in sales, whether it is a real estate agent or say that you launched a gym, whatever the thing is that you are basically selling, instead of having to knock down doors, people already warmed up to you. And what's so great about it is in a podcast, you're not sitting there selling yourself all day. You're just sharing who you are and what your story is and what your experience was. And you're dropping free content, free knowledge, free inspiration. And I always say that podcasting is generally comprised of one of three things, if not all three things. And this actually applies to your social media as well. Your content is generally either education, inspiration, or entertainment. One or all three of those things, or some combination. And what's so great about that is you can do all three if you want. In fact, you can actually test out the content you put out into the world and see what your audience likes the most. But at the end of the day, what's so great about that is that you get to show up exactly as you are. And I remember being in a corporate job being like, okay, I'm in my corporate job. Now I have to make sure I don't say the wrong thing and that I don't share too much personal stuff. And, you really just have to have a very curated sense of self, and that's effective for that environment. For me, I love podcasting because I get to be 100% authentic. I don't have to show up and put on the Ritz for anybody. I pick topics that I love. I pick topics that really speak to my soul, that are genuinely here, that give me energy, that are on my mind and my heart, that hopefully add value to my audience. And that is exactly what you can do with your personal brand, and doing it as a podcast. There's nothing more fun. There's really no better way than to share your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings, your knowledge in such an authentic way, and it feels good. And the bonus is that, yes, you attract the people into your business. You can inspire and impact people and reach people in a way that you otherwise couldn't. And, when you get people commenting or DMing you or just talking to you on the street about what you did for them, that is truly the biggest impact you will ever have. And it's just the most incredible feeling. So in doing this podcast, you're really building that authority on what it means to be a leader in your respective area. You're establishing that authority. I am somebody that has knowledge in this area, and you should listen to me because I have this knowledge. And people just love it. They just are so attracted and so drawn to that when you continue to produce that consistent content in your authentic niche that you love talking about. And again, when you select your niche, it goes directly back to what is your personal brand, what is authentic to you. Now, I am going to be publishing a free download on really establishing what your niche is. So when that is available, I will post it on my social media and link it for you guys so you can check it out if you need some clarity on what that exercise is like, so that you can really get a clear view of what would my podcast exactly be about? And how would I establish my authority? And how would I engage my audience? And all of those thoughts and fears are normal, but once you find your groove, you're set. And what I recommend is that you don't start from scratch. You start from what you already know and what you already love. And from there, it's like opening the floodgates. Once you find that one thing that totally works authentically for you, and you would just be amazed at what it can do for your business. So again, it will establish your authority, but again, it really does establish trust with people, because people really want to see who is it behind the curtain, besides the static social media post, beyond those short clips. Who is this person really? And when you use your voice is so powerful. I always say it's the power of the voice. It's so intimate. Being in somebody's ear when they're on their walks and really just connecting with them on such a deep level opens you up to such a deep connection. And it really just transforms your impact in your personal life and in your business life. And that's why I think just really understanding the power of your personal brand is so important. And what is branding? Branding, if you think about what is your name plus your brand or your one word, what is it really doing is not only is it helping someone kind of classify you and put you into a bucket in their mind to put their mind at ease that, okay, I know what this person is. Okay, I know them. I got it. But it's also helping them to take action. So a brand is important because it associates you and what you're doing with an action for other people. So using myself as an example, Kimberly podcasting, my hope in building out my personal brand, since this finally started to click for me after I struggled with it, is what is the action? So what? It's not just enough that people say like, you and your name, but it's more than that. It's taking that next step. It's connecting them and walking them over the bridge that, oh, this is the person that can help me with podcasting. So the action is contact Kimberly for any podcasting needs. And that is my personal brand. That's everything about my personal brand. If you're a photographer, specifically a family photographer, you want everyone to associate Courtney, photographer. Great. So when it's time for Christmas, as I'm leading up to that time, maybe in October, November, I want to reach out to Courtney and book my family photo shoot. Because why? This person established themselves in your mind that she is the go-to authority and the trusted person to get you over that bridge, to deliver you an amazing family photo shoot where you're very comfortable. She can guide you through it, and she can execute and deliver a really wonderful product. So that is the entire kind of process, which is kind of intuitive when you really think through it. But for me, it just was almost like a mental block because I didn't feel like I understood marketing and branding all that well, coming from a background that was largely, not that. So this power of your personal brand truly can transform your business. And not only that, but because it's so authentic, I'm telling you, it's one of the most exhilarating, most fun experiences you could possibly give yourself. And that is why I have become so passionate about my podcast and launching other people's podcasts, because I know the power that lies in hearing your own voice, seeing your own podcast, and getting to reach so many people in a way that you never otherwise could have. And again, the side benefit is that you're attracting people into your brand, and you do it in a way that's so it's just easy. Like it just flows, it's flow state. And that's where I get excited. I get excited to really sit down. And when you work with me, you get to understand my process more and more. But I sit down with you and I actually do what I call a discovery. It's usually a 1-hour discovery. And in that session, I get really clear on who you are, where you're at, where your blocks are, so that I can help you overcome your blocks and your fears, because there's a lot of fears that come along with taking that leap into, one, owning your personal brand and the power that is. That's very scary. I know it certainly was for me. But really just helping you get clear on, okay, this is who you are, this is what you love, this is what you bring to the table in terms of overall impact to your audience and your knowledge and your experience. And we do it in such a way that it's not this, hyper constructed, just overly curated thing. I guess that for me, I got the ick because I'm like, ew, this feels so contrived. It's kind of like that word networking. It made me feel like I was back in business school at USC and, our career services was like, go to the networking event, go network. And it would just give me the ick. And I just I could never bring myself to do it because it felt so inauthentic and just, ugh. And so now that I understand that building out your personal brand, especially in the lens of podcasting, is all about who you are naturally and what your goals are and your experiences. And there's truly nothing better. So I hope that is helpful. I hope it inspires you. And I hope it makes you feel a little bit more comfortable with branding, personal branding, and understanding how to kind of lean into it and get you a little bit more comfortable. So thank you guys for listening and watching, and follow me at Kimberly Levy on Instagram, and just send me a DM if you want help with your podcast. I am taking clients. We are ramping up. We are launching. We're having a blast, and I would love to sit down with you and hear all about kind of your dream and your vision and help you kind of just walk over that bridge and make it happen for you. Okay? Because your voice and your story matters. So I'm really excited to continue those conversations. And please rate and review the podcast. And I will talk to you guys again next week.